Hi. So I finally made it. I am able to create a kind of poly patterns within Ableton Live and stock plugins. Let me show you what this means and what the benefit of that is. By poly patterns, or the way how I define poly patterns is, you might be familiar with the idea of poly rhythms. So imagine you having a kick and a snare and a hi-hat, and the hi-hat, for example, follows a different pattern length. And so therefore you're creating a huge amount of variation because the patterns are not always equal. So therefore you're creating a polyrhythm. And my idea is to take over the same idea for patterns and specifically for drum loops like our so loved amen break. When we do that, we are adding a kind of extra variation that can evolve over the whole song and adding a kind of complexity that we might not are aware of or might not know from the tracks we are currently producing up to now. I was looking for a way in Ableton Live to do so, and it wasn't that easy, but I want to show you my discoveries I did in Ableton Live and want to share this with you. So let's jump straight in there and let me first show you how this sounds like and then explain what I'm doing. And then finally, I want to talk about some things I want to do and of course get some feedback from your side. So this is my Ableton project. Let me show you how this sounds like. And so on and so on. So you see, it's not really a complete song, but I'm just starting something here. I'm working on a remix for Ecology, so therefore I was bouncing the whole track into a WAV file and just put it in here so that I can focus on my amen break. Let's start here with first things first. We have the amen break, and here the amen break is nothing more than a drum rack in Ableton Live. And don't care about the other things that you see here, but you see I am not triggering the notes directly from a clip on this track, but rather I'm adding another MIDI track with a mono sequencer, and this mono sequencer is playing the tracks. And you have seen this, I'm playing the different patterns, and I have different patterns in here. And this is the first technique I would like to show you, because here, rather than drawing the MIDI notes directly into a clip, you can just get crazy and funky there with the mouse and create new rhythms quite easy and see if they work or not. So then you see here in this clip, I'm automating the patterns rather than putting the notes directly into the clip. So I'm adding already a kind of complexity and variety into my track or into the sequence of the amen break. But this is not where I'm stopping. Then you see here I am having another track, another drum loop I was slicing up, and I'm using the same notes coming from the mono sequencer for this track. So this is nothing special, but just that you're aware of, okay, I'm mixing up two drum loops already and playing more or less the same notes, like snare and kick are triggered by this mono sequencer. Now where it's getting funky is the following. You see here I am having another MIDI track. I call this MIDI reverse 16, and let me show you what I'm doing in here. So you have here one clip sending MIDI control data, so MIDI CC. I'm using MIDI control data 16 to automate and program my reverse effect. And I'm having another clip where it looks slightly differently, and I can play these reverse tracks or getting creative with that one. I could add even more, but you get the idea because I can make variations with that one. And this MIDI reverse clip has a different length than the mono sequencer itself and has a different length than the other track I'm using here. You have heard the auto filter hitting in and then going up again, and then it's playing over 16 bars. Okay, it's fine. And I could add another MIDI filter clip, right? And adding even more complexity. If you ask yourself, what is this IRC driver? This is just the macOS implementation of an own internal MIDI bus. You can do this, you can set this up quite easy using here the audio and MIDI setup tool in your macOS, and I'm pretty sure that for Windows an equivalent is available. So I'm sending this data to the IRC driver, channel 1, and here in the preferences, make sure that you're receiving track and remote data from the IRC driver. I'm pretty sure you can just keep it to remote, but yeah, I just enabled both. And once you have done so, you can send this MIDI CC data and go to any device you want to automate, like here in my case, for example, the reverse knob, and map this to the incoming CC data. Now, what took me so long is the fact that there is a difference for Ableton devices between CC data and how do you call this, device data or automation data, which took me hours to discover this. And as a result, you have plugins that are receiving directly or answer directly or listen directly to CC data. And it's another thing in Ableton to be controlled by automation data within Ableton Live. Keep this in mind. There are some things I want to do next. One could be, for example, adding another MIDI track, hitting extra kicks and snares in the aim and break, and adding even more variation to the pattern that is being created by sequenced by the mono sequencer. Another next step, what I want to do is automating the delay effect and other effects on top, maybe a tape stop. And yes, I could add now further VST plugins and automate those ones and adding, for example, a tape stop and other effects. Yes, but I just wanted to focus with the stock techniques that Ableton provides to you. Now you might have seen here I'm using another Max for Live device, which is here this Belay grid function, correct? And basically it's a function that allows me to use the incoming signal, get it up, and once the signal is up, it goes down again. So I'm using this and I'm explaining this more in my Pioneer DJ filter video. When I'm controlling the filter down, when I'm using the cutoff, I want the resonance to go up and then going down again. So just the way how basically the Pioneer DJ filter sounds like, and the way how I'm using a filter on drum loops. So I'm able to do this with this Max for Live device, just in case you ask yourself what that is. But that's it in a nutshell, my way of poly patterns and how to create extra variations that is evolving over the song. Let me know if you see an easier way to do so, but here the main concept really is having the automation in clips on other tracks that are playing individually and are decoupled from the main drum loop. Rather than drawing everything into one clip, I'm using different clips to control stuff and adding complexity to my track. Let me know what you think of this idea and if it makes sense to you, and I would love to see some tracks coming up with more complexity in drum loops. Talk to you soon. Bye.